I'm a realtor. I sell real estate just like you do. I take listings just like you do. I've got our essentials just like you do. And I do the things that you do. So I speak from a perspective of a realtor and as a trainer. So I'm always curious. You could put it in the chat, or you can sort of raise your hands in front of me if you're available. I'm wondering how many of you currently utilize a seller's net sheet? Anybody want to say yes, yes, yes? Do we have a lot of yeses? Okay. I don't hear too many yeses. Maybe your audio is off.
Yes.
Okay. So I hear one yes. Okay. So can I hear how many of you don't use a seller's net sheet currently? Can I hear yeses? So everybody is sort of in between. You, I like that. You know, I always tell everybody, oh, I love it when people tell me they're in the gray, because you know that's not true. You're either in black or white. It's simple as that. I don't really look at it any different. Okay. Now, I'm going to say to you, I've always utilized in my entire career a seller's net sheet. Let me grab something. When I started off, and you had the calculator, and someone said to you in Chino Hills, I started off with Jim Thompson's in Parkview Realty, and we started off 30-something years ago. Now, Chino Hills hasn't moved an inch, meaning the land hasn't moved an inch. But in 35 years, the perspective of Chino Hills has moved 360 degrees. When I started there, we started in a garage. You could only say, where's Chino Hills? It wasn't Chino Hills. It was the hills of Chino. And the most recognizable items there were numerous dairies and the prison is nearby. So when I saw and observed realtors conducting listings, something that's not done today, I watched what realtors did for a seller's net sheet. They pulled out a calculator and roughly estimated, in those days, I'm going to sell your home for $35,000, and the amount is going to be 8.5%. Yes, the gentleman is laughing, Mr. Briggs. You know that's true. If you've been in this business as long as I have, you know that, you know. And before that, you left the key under the brick, because that's with your lockbox. Okay. So here goes 8.5%, and you go, Mr. Martinez, and what does that entail? And we would say something like this: 6% commission, 3% for the listing side, 3% for the selling side, and 2.5% for escrow and closing costs and garbage fees. Garbage fees? Well, what are those, Mr. Martinez? Now, if they said something like that to you today, what would your answer be? Okay. Now, I'll cut it short. You're all intelligent people, so I'll say this to you. You're buying a car today, a Mercedes, a Subaru, or like some of you realtors can afford now, a helicopter. So here you go. Do you buy the helicopter, the Subaru, the Mercedes, without asking how much is it going to cost? Do you buy it without a monthly payment? Do you buy it without asking, what's my interest? But yet we sell properties all the time. Not you, I know this group, not you, nor I. But I'll say this to you, and I've said it all the time. 80% of the industry does not know what it's doing. And I'm so grateful. I get down on my knees and say, thank you, Lord, that 80% doesn't know what they're doing. So here we go. I believe you need to have a seller's net sheet. I've always said, you're not going to buy or sell your homes, I'm sure, without knowing what the bottom line is going to be. Having said that, don't you think your clients deserve that answer as well? The issue really is not, is a seller's net sheet really a part of the file? It is. It's part of my broker's file, and it's part of my legal file. managers and brokers don't have it even on their files. On my file for my company, it's now on SkySlope as optional. I will say to all of you listening today, soon, very, very soon, it's going to be not optional, necessary. If I went to court, I would say that a seller's net sheet is warranted now. So if you didn't have one, I'd be testifying against you. Simple as that. Okay. After the class, you can tell me. Now, who are the authorities in the state of California and for us? CAR and CRMLS. So I gave you two forms. One is from CRMLS that shows you a seller's net sheet. I don't use it. Why? Too complicated. They ask questions that should never be asked. And I'd like to get together with CRMLS so we can straighten them out, but I'm not a part of WIN forms. So here we go. If you look at the next form, it's from CAR, almost identical to CRMLS. They must have got together to create the form. Once again, the top two authorities in the state of California are saying to me, just like they're saying to you, use a seller's net sheet. Simple as that. So I don't need to go and say, who's the authority in the state of California? You got it in front of you. CAR and CRMLS. They're telling us, Jose, you, me, all of us have a seller's net sheet. So I sent that out to you. I sent you out Jose's seller's net sheet formula, because this is Jose's seller's net sheet formula. I'm giving it to you so you can utilize it. You can take it. You can make it yours. You could do what you want to. But remember, it belongs to whom? Jose. Okay. And I sent you a copy of some blank seller's net sheets. Now you could do this on WIN forms. You could do it on any of the form platforms that we have available and create your own seller's net sheet. Color picture, all the good information, and indication that says this is just an estimate. Don't be afraid to give an estimate. Lenders give estimates, banks give estimates, car dealerships give estimates. Come on. I'm giving you an estimated net sheet that says this. Now I can tell you, over 30-something years, I've been giving it to my escrow officers. So when I open up an escrow and I get my final, this is the sales price, that's the estimate I give to my escrow officer. Why? Because I want my escrow officer to be aware of what I'm thinking. And I like to see at the end of the day, when it closes, if my clients receive more money. Why? Because most of the time, my clients, I'm very conservative, receive more money. And I like to say to Mr. Briggs, if he was my client, Mr. Briggs, you know, you received about $2,000 more than the estimated net sheet. And Mr. Briggs is not going to come to me and say, hey, Jose, you know, I just got $2,000 more. Thank you very much. And I'm going to the casino. So I like to let my clients know when they receive more and I've done more for you. Okay. Was that a question? So here we go. I also sent you in the packet two pages of the, somebody's out there doing something, wrestling with somebody. Okay, I sent you out there 2 pages of the escrow rate chart. All of you should have an escrow rate chart in your packet all the time. Carry 2 of them. Carry one in your car, one in your office, a rate sheet that tells you what the rates are for title. A lot of title companies right now will tell you, Jose, you can get it on the internet. But when I'm doing a listing, believe me, I don't have time to jump on the internet to my title company to look for the rate chart. I like the rate chart, pull it out, write it down. So I tell my title reps, that's plural. I tell my title reps, please keep Jose in the loop and give me a lot of title charts. So for all of you, get your title charts because you can't do a seller's net sheet without one. Well, that's my introduction. I'm a realtor like you. I've done everything. What did I miss? In case anybody says, well, past president of 2 associations, past president of CRMLS. I'll leave it at that, and we'll start our class because I know your time is very valuable. I sent you one other form, and it's for 819 10th Street. I sent you that so that you can see the first example we're going to go through today. So that in case we're done and you're going, but I didn't understand Mr. Martinez completely, you're going to be able to listen to this again if you'd like, or look at the sheet here. The same numbers are going to be on your blank form as we go through it. You have that seller's net sheet formula. So here we go. When I take a listing, one of the first things that I'm asking any of my sellers, so I can have this information in my head, is if I spoke to you on the phone, I'm going to ask you, how much do you owe on your home before I meet you? Why? That's an important number. What is your monthly payment? Does that include HOA? So that I can have those numbers ahead of me. If I have that information, I can already be preparing my net sheet before I get there. Have already numbers set up in my mind. Why? Because you as the realtor know what the values are going to be. Now, sometimes sellers tell you what the values are going to be, but you know where they really are going to be. Having said that, I get those numbers in my mind. Or if not, when I get there and I'm doing my listing presentation, one of the first things I do is, may I look at the property? I want to see what type of property I'm looking at. What items does this property have compared to the other listings? Okay. So that's what I do. I know in today's market, a lot of realtors just look at the MLS and say, I've done a CMA. I've viewed the property. No, I actually look at property. So having said that, we look at the property, we gather the information, and that's what we're doing. We're sort of gathering the information, and I sit down with my clients. So let's take the first sheet and let's go through the seller's net sheet. On the top, you'll see it says seller's name, so your seller's name would go there. And in the case of the one that you have, it was Mr. Rogelio, but your seller's name would go there, okay? I do everything, if I'm doing it live, it's in blue ink. I don't do anything in black. I do everything in blue ink. I do all my signings in blue, and this is just a realtor's tip, okay? Yeah. You can do what you want, but I don't do blue. Why? That's I call it my original. If I do it in black, some copies come to you, original. But for me, it's just sort of like a little tip. This is Jose's original. So all my clients sign in blue ink. I bring 2 pens, one for Jose and one for you. All in blue. So seller's names go there, the address go there. Encumbrances. What are encumbrances? If you look at my seller's formula, that's the encumbrances. Well, let's go to first. Encumbrances are all debt. Some of us will say first mortgage, second mortgage, third mortgage. So I'll ask my client, what is your debt? And they'll say, what type of debt are you speaking of, Mr. Martinez? So I'll name a couple of them. Some of you may know of HELOC. That's a home loan. Other, spousal support, child support, back taxes. If I go into a property and I see that they just built a new pool, they may have already a lien from the builder because he's building that pool. So I'm trying to find all liens. We work as a team. Tell me all the encumbrances. That's number one. Encumbrances. So once I have all of that, I know what the total debt is for this particular property. Listing price. When I take a listing, the listing price is not necessarily the selling price. Did you hear that? The listing price is not necessarily the selling price. The listing price is the price that we're going to ask and hope to acquire based on the comparables that I see right now. That could change. Go up, it can go down. So I may say to my clients, Mr. Martinez, we're going to list at 620. And I always say, what's your bottom line? Now, some of my clients will say, well, Mr. Martinez, you said 620, and 620 is my bottom line. So then list price and sales price are the same. But some of my clients will say, if you're listed at 620, Mr. Martinez, my bottom line is 615. So list price is 620, sales price will be 615. That's his bottom line. That's his bottom line. I may speak to my clients while we're taking the listing and discuss closing costs, commission, this, and the bottom line may be list at 620. Jose, I won't take any more, any less than 605. That's the bottom line between 615 and 605. So there's a difference. List, selling price. What we agree to list for and what we agree to sell for. That way I know when I have a great offer in front of me. If I list it at 620 and somebody offers me and the bottom line is 605, and if the buyer offers me 620 but it's asking for 5,000 costs, I know it's a great deal. We still hit the bottom line. So that's what I do. I hope that gives you an idea. All right. So let's take one of these. And I'm going to be using the template that we have for Rogelio, the property at 819. So if all of you will follow me on our encumbrances, because that's the first thing I'll ask the seller. Our seller said to us, Mr. Martinez, I said, what are the debts on this property? He said, Mr. Martinez, I owe, let me get my glasses here, I owe $224,704. So where it says first trust deed, put 207,704. 224. I'm sorry. I can't see. 224,704. I'm sorry, 224,704. So our seller says to us, I owe 224,704. That's the encumbrances. We ask him, are there any more liens against the property? He says, nope. I only owe this one payment, 224,704. And I need to get out of here, Jose, like tomorrow. Now, that's important to know too. Okay? Are they serious? I need to get out of here like tomorrow. That's important. In this case, he says to you, because I'm not living there. I'm in Texas and I'm leasing it out. Oh, okay. So encumbrances for this gentleman total came out to 224,704 total debt. I sat down with this prospective buyer, and when we sat down, I said, I think we could list this property at 305. So on listing the comps, okay, let's list on the listing side, list price 305. Long Beach. All right. I sat down with Rogelio and I said, Rogelio, what is your bottom line? And he said, Jose, I'm not going to take, I'd like to have 305, but between 300 to 295 is my bottom line. So you can see, in that case, I'm going to put suggest selling price 300K to 295K. Now we know what our projected selling price is going to be. Now, number one on the seller's net sheet. Now we've gotten to the seller's net sheet. What is number one? It says sales price minus debt. Well, it doesn't say list price. It says sales price. Okay. Listen to what it says. Get that calculator out. So if you get the calculator out and you put down sales price, 300,000, and I start from the highest one, minus debt of 224,704, leaves us, let me take a look at this, 75,296. 75,296 at 300,000. So I have down there 75,296 or 70,296. So there's that difference of 5,000. 75,296 or 70,296. If we sold it at 300,000 or 295, the projected gross equity would be that 70,296. 75,296. So now we know the projected gross equity. Gross always tells you you need to subtract more because we're always looking for net. We're always looking for net. No one's looking for gross because there's more to be subtracted. And what is that to be subtracted? What they used to call garbage fees. Okay? Now, if you went to court and you said to the lawyer, Your Honor, it's garbage fees. Okay? I guarantee you this. They're going to ask you, can you tell me, Mr. Martinez, what those garbage fees are? I always tell realtors this. When you get that R, not for realtor, responsible, respectful, resourceful. Okay? So be ready. So we're going to get into the garbage fees. Okay? So now we have to find out what are those other fees. Okay? Escrow. Escrow. Our seller's net sheet formula says escrow is. And you look at that and it'll tell you, let me pull it out so I can tell you what it says too. Okay. Our seller's net sheet says escrow fees are whatever the sales price. And in this case, we said 300,000 times 0.2%. Okay. And that 2.2 represents $2. Why? Because I sit down with my escrow companies. All of you should sit down with your escrow companies and find out, what do you charge my clients, our clients? Okay. That's your due diligence. Now, some of you work with companies that say, use my company and you get more commission. I won't tell you what you should do or shouldn't do, but you should know what that fee is. So I know that mine is roughly, fees run right now today around, somebody will say 150, but $2 to $2.50. And then there are some right now charging 3 and above. Okay. When the market get crazy, woo, and above. Okay. So I'm going to say, check with your escrow officer. Mine has been at 0.2 for what, 30 years. So it doesn't change like my temperature. It doesn't change. So 0.2, you can check with yours. For my class, it's going to be 0.2%. So if you looked at this and said 300,000, and you said 300,000 times 0.2%, you would come up and let me get my calculator so I could do that for you. Okay? You should have your calculators. Everybody should have a calculator. 300,000. And let me get times 0.2% equals $600. And then it says plus a setup fee. What is a setup fee? Well, I'm looking at the names here. If they set it up if they set up the escrow for me, it's Jose Martinez. If they set it up for Jerry Gutierrez, it's Jerry Gutierrez. If they set it up for Laura, Laura. If they set it up for Betsy Ann, Betsy Ann. So as you see, escrow doesn't have a printing press. It just says when we come in, no, they have to set it up like a printing press and put your name in there and put figures in there and names in there. It's not free. So I asked my escrow officer, what is the normal fee? She said roughly about $250, I'm saying. So I use that plus 250. So you say 600 plus setup fee plus 250 equals 850. So escrow would be 850. That's how I got the fee of 850. Now there's only going to be one fee here that's not going to be probably like we have because I didn't have my rate chart in front of me, so I had to think in my mind what it would be. So please forgive me. But anyhow, sub-escrow. What is a sub-escrow? Well, it's right there. Okay, my seller's net sheet gives you, and I know you realtors out there who love scripts. It's a script. Okay. If they told me, Mr. Martinez, what is sub-escrow? I'm asking you right now without looking at it. What is it? I'd say most of you say, well, it's a fee that escrow charges. No, it isn't. It is a fee that is charged through title. Okay. It's usually about $150 to, could be $200 or less, but I run it out to about $150. That is charged to both buyers and sellers. It is not an escrow fee, but a title fee that's called sub-escrow. So once again, if you were in front of a judge, you could say that. Okay? Instead of saying, no, I don't do a net G. So I'll tell them. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going to tell you, sir, not no garbage here. Okay? Garbage in, garbage out. Okay. Next fee. Okay. Recording fee, $125. Look at the seller's net sheet. It'll tell you what it is. It tells you for your script, recording fees. Fees for recordings of reconveyance or attorney documents. For reconveyance or attorney documents. Recording fee. Fees for reconveyance or attorney documents. A script. Number 3. So we're going down. Drawing deed. These are garbage fees. Drawing deed. It says right there, drawing deed, $125. Now, when I sent you the net sheet, you could see the 75, 125, 125. They're already in your seller's net sheet. Why? It doesn't change. I've been in this business a long time. I had hair when I started. Okay. It hasn't changed. Okay. 75, boom, sub-escrow. So you don't have to go and go think, oh my God, what is sub-escrow? Oh, wow, wow, wow. That's the question of the ages today. No, it's right there. You don't have to even think about it. When you make your net sheet, steal from me. Put it in there. Sub-escrow, 75. Recording, 125. Drawing, 125. They do not change. They're like cement. They're there. Okay. You can check. You can check. Confirm. Okay. Title insurance. C rate chart. That's what it says. C rate chart. But in this case, I came up with my rate chart was at another place. It wasn't in front of me. And I had somebody flog me for that. I can assure you, anytime I do something wrong, I have floggers. They wait to punish me. So in this case, the title insurance we're going to say is $1,170 for this net sheet. $1,170. Okay. So for title on this example, $1,170. Transfer tax. Transfer tax. It says in your seller's net sheet, once again, for your script, Mr. Martinez, what are transfer tax? Transfer tax are fees that they charge. They're charged in Riverside County, San Bernardino County, $1.10 per 1,000. In Orange County and in LA County, they're $2.20 per 1,000. So I'm going to say for almost everybody that I'm seeing or not seeing, that will apply to you guys. Okay. I don't do business in Kern County. All my business is in Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange, LA. So $1.10 per 1,000 in Riverside, San Bernardino, $2.20 Los Angeles and Orange County. There you go. Now, if you're in Alamedas County, ooh, you're paying big transfer tax. Okay? Big money out there, got to pay more taxes. So here we go. In this case, when we look at it, how did I do it? I go 300,000. And this is how I gave the example of transfer tax in this manner. I said 300,000 divided by 1,000. And the reason I did it, I know all of you are intelligent people. Because if you're selling a house, and I'll give you an example, 595,000, you don't have to go divide it by, you just say 595. 700,000, 700. You don't have to do to divide it. But for you for you that might get a house and it sells for $699,222.76. And you go, what is the transfer tax? All you have to remember is divide it by 1,000. It'll give you the number times whatever the fee of that area. Riverside $1.10, San Bernardino $1.10, Orange County $2.10, LA $2.10, $2.20. I'm sorry. You'll always be right. Okay. So I'm not a math wizard. I'm not Einstein. I don't have that. Boom. It's 272, 629. No. I sometimes, when it's flat, when it's easy numbers like 525,000, I don't have to divide by 1,000. But once in a while, you might get that $292,672.33 divided by 1,000 equals times, that's my transfer tax. So in this case, you go to 300,000 divided by 1,000 gives you 300 times, and we're in Long Beach. So that's 2.2 equals $660. $660. Okay. 300,000 divided by 1,000 equals 300 times 2.2 equals $660. Now, if we were in Riverside or San Bernardino, it'd be half of that, $330. So that's the transfer fee, and we got it up there. Then it says in the sheet, where is it? Transfer tax. Oh, I had it at $1.10 on the sheet, so I made a mistake on that sheet too. It's $660. Because LA County and Orange County is $2.20 per thousand. Are you with me? All right. What is it that we have next? Prepayment penalty. I don't think any of you are going to run into a prepayment penalty loan, but I ask my clients, do you have a prepayment penalty? They don't make out loans like that anymore, but once upon a time they did. And if you forgot that you owed a prepayment penalty and it was substantial, it could cost you. So I asked the question, normally today it's no, Mr. Martinez, no, Mr. Martinez, we have no prepayment penalty, no prepayment penalty. So I'm going to say most of you are going to find zero on prepayment penalty. So in this case, it was zero. Reconveyance, it's one of those numbers like cement. Reconvey, it's always going to be, well, it's not always, but right now it's 125. What is it for? Reconveyance. To reconvey the first deed of trust, second deed of trust, third deed of trust, all deeds of trust, they're reconveying it from seller to buyer. Reconveyance. What does it do? 125 to reconvey the deed of trust. That's a script. Okay. Next, interest. Ask the seller. So in this case, when I take the listing, I ask, Mr. Seller, what is the interest on your property? And the total came out to $1,516.67. But that included an HOA. That included an HOA. I don't have the exact breakdown for it, but I'll ask them. And I'll give you an example. Pretend he said, my mortgage payment is $1,416, but my HOA is $100. Total payment, $1,516. When I do a seller's net sheet, you're doing it on 30-day increments. Escrow works on 45, we work on 30 days. So when I do a net sheet, it's made up on a 30-day increment. So that would cover payment in the net sheet. We're covering 1 month payment. Now, I always tell my sellers to make their payments on time. So if I took the listing, I tell them to keep making their payments on time. And when we open up escrow, if we're going to have a question of opening up escrow and making a payment, I consult with my escrow before I ever tell a seller don't make a payment. Otherwise, okay. Next one, preps and docs, 200. You could see in your net seller's net. Yes. Is there a question? Was there a question? Okay. Preps and docs, $200. What is that for? Well, that's sort of simple. Dollars. Those are what we all describe as garbage fee. That's there all the time. So you don't have to figure out what is it going to be. It's $200, $200 today, $200 tomorrow. That's why it's in your seller's net sheet already. So you don't have to think about, well, how much is preparation of docs? Roughly $200. And once again, I'm very conservative because I want my clients to receive more money back. I don't want my clients to come back to you nor to me and say, well, I didn't receive what you promised me. Now, sometimes you get a few dollars less, but I look at that as being on the mark. I'm going to say 88% of the time, my clients receive substantially more. Appraisal, zero. Appraisal, zero. When I'm taking a listing, it's a zero all the time. But I'm going to say something to you that probably nobody else has said. Appraisal, sometimes I tell my clients, my sellers, I may ask you to pay for it. Why? Because I use it as a tool. And I'll give you an example. I acquired a property that didn't sell from another realtor, but I knew the property could have sold with the other realtor. I'm not sure why they weren't able to put the deal together. They received offers, but weren't able to nail it down. What I did learn from speaking to the other realtor and the seller is that the buyers were afraid to commit because of value. So I knocked on the door and said to the seller, because I know the seller wanted to sell because he was working with another realtor, I told him, I can sell your property. I know I can. And he said, how do you know that, Mr. Martinez? I said, because you had offers prior and you had clients that wanted to buy it. And I know what held it up. And I said, it was an appraisal. And I said, an appraisal only costs, what, $250 to $450. So I said to him, if you give me the listing and I get it sold and it comes down to the appraisal, I will compensate you for the appraisal. Give me 30 days. And he did. And I received offers because I knew people wanted the property. The same issue came up, value. They were afraid of the value. So my counter to all of those who were afraid of the value from the sellers were, seller will pay for appraisal. That eliminated that issue right away. That got him into escrow right away. I always call it getting into cement. I get you further and further and further obligated to the contract. What is it going to cost me? $5,400. I was confident that it could be sold. It did. So I'm just saying to you that I look at everything as a tool. I put it in my toolbox. Normally, 99% of the appraisal is zero. But there is once a while that you will say to a seller, I advise you to put it in the counter that will pay for it so that we can get them to commit to opening up escrow, to showing them the value, to getting this deal further and further into escrow. I hope that gives you some kind of understanding of, I call it a technique. Okay. Some people say, oh, you're thinking out of the box. No, we're just thinking. Here we go. Pest inspection. I usually have on mine $65. Now, a pest inspection is an item that you should decide on as a realtor. Some realtors do not want to get an inspection. If you get an inspection, you have a known fact. You must disclose that known fact. Simple as that. I get a pest report. The pest report comes back and there's $10,000 worth of pests. Now I must disclose that known fact to prospective buyers. So here are the choices. Don't do it at all. I don't know about it. I don't have to disclose it. Seller doesn't know about it. We don't have to disclose it. And I hope that the buyers don't ask for one or do one. Or do one. I do one. Okay, that's a choice and a technique. And I tell my clients, we're going to get an inspection. Why? Because I want to tell the prospective buyers the as-is present condition to the buyers that my sellers know nothing about, nor do I. That doesn't mean we're going to fix anything. I'll give you an example. If it comes back clear, you're happy, I'm happy. If it comes back with minimal damage, sellers may say, Jose, I'm going to fix this. Not an issue. If it comes in with maximum damage, seller may say, tell buyer they're buying it in the as-is present condition. And I do. And buyers buy them in their as-is present condition. We have different techniques, so you have to decide. So in my seller's net sheet, I will have a $65 there showing that it's going to cost $65 to have an inspection only without work. Okay? But it could be zero. For this case, we have in this net sheet, zero. So put zero. Okay? FHA costs. When I take a listing, all my fees are going to be a zero. Why? Because I'd like the sellers to see more net, more gross, more money. So, but I do describe it. If I'm taking a listing and I say we're going to be selling this home, but you know, buyers in today's market are usually asking for closing costs. How much are they asking, Mr. Martinez? Between 1% and 3%. Now, on a 1% of a $300,000 home, that's $3,000. 3%, $9,000. And I tell them, we're not going to put anything here, but please be aware that a buyer and their agents may ask of those fees. So on the net sheet, Mr. Seller, I'm going to put zero right now. We'll wait until the offer comes and see what we're going to do and how we're going to respond. Once again, if I got an offer of $318,800 and my bottom line was $315,000, I have a little bit of money to deal with, okay? So, or my bottom line was $300,000. If I said we're going to list it at $305,000, I'm sorry, and my bottom line was $300,000 or $295,000, I have a little bit of wiggle room there. Of wiggle room. Let me pull out my, you know, I'm looking at two seller's net sheets. I may be giving you numbers from one that I shouldn't, but I think the rest are okay. Here goes. So we're looking at Pest. Pest, I put down 65 for me, but in this case, we put zero. FHA, VA costs, zero. Okay, home warranty, zero. I put zero in the net sheet. But in the MLS, we offer a home warranty. Okay, we're offering a home warranty. In the MLS, I offer you the moon, the stars, and the planet. Yes, here's the home warranty. I want you to bring an offer. Now, you can ask for it, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it. But I'm going to offer it to you. Now, if you bring me full price offer, you may get it. If you bring me a lowball offer, you may not get it. So I'm going to offer it to you, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it. Everything is negotiable. Okay. So home warranty commission, in this case, if you look at the one you have, I have it, the one that I sent you says $13,500. The reason it says $13,500 is because it's done at 4.5%. All of you do it at 6%. But why did I do this one at 4.5%? Here it goes. All my clients are not created equal. If I meet you for the first time, 6%. If I'm doing a short sale, 8%. Why? Because I know they're going to lower me anyhow. If I've done numerous, that's the key word, numerous transactions with you, and you have properties in California still, I'm going to work with you because I like long-term business. When I started off, like many of you new agents, I used to farm 1,000 homes a week, no more. So I farm my sphere of influence, my clients. That keeps me going. So with him, it was 4.5%. 2.5, because I tell him right off the bat, 2.5 for Jose, 2 for the selling agent. And before I do anything like that, I look at the MLS once again to make sure what people are accepting. Sometimes I take the short end of the stick. So I'll say to you, ask for 6% and do what your brokers tell you to do. Okay? Do what your brokers tell you to do. In this case, we did it at 4.5 and it came out to $13,500. Buyer's fees, 0 in the net sheet that you're going to put in today, it's zeros. But I am discussing buyer's fees. Once again, you buy it conventional, they might be asking up to 3%. You buy it FHA, up to 3%. On this property, FHA is not applicable because the units do not sell for FHA. So you need to know that too when you're sitting down with your seller. We're going to market it this way, this way, and that way. Well, in this particular property, it's cash, conventional. Okay? Even if you say cash to new loan, it's not going to be to an FHA loan, and it's not going to be to a VA loan because the units do not qualify for FHA or VA. So you need to know that as a realtor as well. What does your property qualify for? Okay. Buyer's fees, 0 in this case for this transaction. We said 0. In this transaction, miscellaneous, I put down $500. Miscellaneous, what are miscellaneous? Miscellaneous to me are, and it says on our seller's net sheet, from a house from $1 to $500,000, $500. From a house from 501 to $1 million, $1,000 miscellaneous. What is miscellaneous? I have miscellaneous there in case I have requests for repairs. When we open up escrow, we open up and they go, can you fix this screen, do this, do that, do this. I don't really want to go back to sellers that see the repairs. The items need to be fixed, cost $450. That way the money's there, miscellaneous, to repair whatever comes up. If I need more, then I'll go and say, we need more. But that way I have at least 500 or up to 1,000, depending on sales price, so that I can utilize to repair or fix items up. And once again, if I had done a pest inspection and the pest report came up and said it had $300 worth of pests, and I have 500, well, there's 300 going to be used towards pests. So I have $200 that can be utilized towards other items. Miscellaneous. It's in my seller's net sheet. It doesn't change. At $1 to 500,000, $500. 501,000 to $1 million, $1,000 miscellaneous. And I tell my sellers, anything we don't utilize goes back to you. You get to get more money, more money, more money. Non-owner occupancy. Non-owner occupancy. It's in it, and it says non-owners. So you can see non-owners, I can tell you, they have to pay 3.33% of the sales price. In this case, it says $9,990. That's the amount we'll put in there. We're selling it at $300,000, so it's $9,990. And what are non-owner occupancy fees? When you don't live in a property, it's a business. You're leasing it. So when I take a listing, I ask him, are you living in the property? Yes, Mr. Martinez. Okay. No, Mr. Martinez. Then I let him know, you're going to have to pay this fee. But I let my clients know, if you've been paying your federal, your state taxes, you're doing your income taxes, take it to your CPA, take it to your accountant, and they gather that funds back. Escrow is obligated by law now to take the federal and state out on property that are not owner occupancy. They take that fee out automatic. Okay? because the government requires that. And then it's up to the owners to prove later that those fees were taken out, but they weren't necessary. And then they'll retrieve them through their tax processes. Okay. Now, I do have once in a while a seller that tells me that he lives in the property, and you know he doesn't live in the property. And I'm not going to argue with my seller. So I tell him, look, if you want to tell me you live in the property, I'll do that. But it raises red flags. And talk to your accountant or your CPA, your legal advisor, because if it raises those red flags, you may find yourself in more trouble. Once again, I'm not a CPA, but I will advise you to talk to your attorneys or your CPA all the time. Okay? Because I don't know the legal words and requirements for living in two properties or three properties at one time. I know you can live in a couple, but I'm once again, I'm a humble realtor. In this case, he didn't live in it. He lives in Texas. He lives in Texas. And I said to him, well, here's a fee. You're an accountant, and he has an accountant here in California. So I know he's going to talk to his accountant here in California and retrieve his funds back when this is all said and done, we sell it. Okay. So you look, and when you look at it, the total amount to sell this property comes out to $29,002. $29,002. And if you were to take that $29,002 and subtract it from his projected gross equities of, let me get my light, 75,296 or 70,296, you could see he would wind up with $46,294, or on the low end, $41,294. So it's 4294, or on the low end, which it doesn't show yours because you should just subtract another 5, would be 41,294. Okay. And that's a person living in Los Angeles County and selling a property in Los Angeles County. Are there any questions? Okay, none. Well, then let's pull out a blank one. Let's pull out a blank one. And now let's do one ourselves. I'll give you the parameters so you'll know what they are right off the bat. You're listing a home, and the list price is going to be, I think I sent you just 2 pages of the book, so you can't do too many. You can't go too far off. I think the highest we can go is 740. So you're going to list a home for 740,000. List price will be 740,000. Where it says projected list price, upper right side of your seller's net sheet, 740,000. All of us. And then I'll give you the encumbrances. You sit down with Mr. Seller, and you sit down with Mr. Seller, and you say, Mr. Seller, what are your encumbrances? And Mr. Seller says, do you have a first trust deed? And he says, yes, I do. My first trust deed is 400,000. So on the left side under encumbrances, and you can put next to encumbrances the word all debt, and that's what it means, all debt. So on the first trust deed, put in $400,000. All right? You say to your seller, Mr. Seller, do you have any other liens? And he goes like, what? And his wife's right there, and he goes like child support. And then his wife goes, oh yeah, he has that. And then he goes, yep, I'm behind on that, Jose. You're behind? How much? And he goes, $5,000. And encumbrance, child support, other, $5,000. So put that down. That's another debt. Do you have any other debts, Mr. Seller? And he says, nope. And his wife goes, nope. I make sure he doesn't spend credit cards or nothing. So he only has $400,000 mortgage and $5,000 child support in the rear. They will take that out. And I can tell you this, if you have income tax, child support, any of those things, the government will take them out before escrow will close. Okay. I know. I've dealt with all of them. Okay. So now we know total debt is $405,000. Total debt, 405,000. Okay. Now, when you took the listing, we also asked Mr. Seller, we're going to list it at 740. What is your bottom line? And Mr. Seller said to you guys, hey, my bottom line is going to be 525, 725. I was at 725. My bottom line is 725. List price 740, bottom line 725. So let's put projected sales price 725. That gives us a little bit of leeway. That's $15,000. Wow. As an agent, I'm thinking if a buyer came in and they need 5, 6, 7,000 closing costs, and they gave me 740, we could put this deal together. If they gave me 730 and asked for 5,000 or 10,000 closing costs, I can put this deal together. So when he said listed at 740, but I'll take nothing less than 725, that gives me room to negotiate, room to think, room to do stuff. Okay. I want 740, more commission. 745, better. Okay. So escrow fees, let's take a look at it. Let's get our calculator out. Get mine out. So here we go. 740,000. Nope, projected sales price. I'm sorry. 725. Projected sales price. 725,000 times 0.2 equals, or 0.2%. I'm sorry. 725,000 times 0.2% equals $1,450. Plus, we got to add what? The setup fee of what? $250. Plus 250 equals 17. So we know escrow fees. If we sold it at 725,000 times 0.2%, that equals 1,450 plus a setup fee of 250 for a total of $1,700. There is our escrow amount. There is our escrow. If you're not, feel free to let me know. Oh, I see. Did all of you get your paperwork? Do you have it? And I see this on the Zoom chat line.
I've sent it out to everyone, Jose.
Yes, we have ours.
Okay, good. Okay, so it's 1,700. Now, sub-escrow, we don't have to do anything there because sub-escrow is what? $75. Sub-escrow is a fee charged by, not escrow, but the title company. It's charged $75 to the buyer, $75 to the seller normally. What's the next fee? Uh-oh, recording. What is that for? Look at the seller's net sheet. It's $125 all the time. It's for fees to record documents and attorney. Drawing to draw up the documents, to draw up the forms, $125. They have to draw them up, draw up the documents. $125 so that we can sign them. That never changes. That's why they're there. 75, 125, 125. You don't have to worry about those. Next one, title insurance. Go to your rate charts. I gave you all 2 sheets. It's on the last sheet. Okay, let's look for our rate chart. Look under 740,000. Okay. Now, if you look at the bottom, the one you always are going to want is the most expensive one. Okay, Eagle Owner's Policy, or they call it the Alta Policy. So if you talk to your title company, you can tell them, I always want my clients to have the best title policy available, because they do serve and sell, let's call them title policies with less value. So in this case, we look at 740, the rate chart says it's going to cost $1,953. So we put in our title chart, $1,953. Okay. Everybody with me? That's why you need a title chart, so that you can look and see it all the time. Next one is the transfer tax. Okay, so we're selling this particular home for $725. We always go by the high sales price, $725. So he wants $725, $725,000. You know, it would be divided by 1,000, comes out to $725, and what county are we in? Let's pretend like this one is in Chino Hills, San Bernardino County. Now, you know, Chino Hills is the Beverly Hills of San Bernardino. Did you know that? Oh, yes, it is. Go and buy a house there. Most expensive properties in San Bernardino, the Beverly Hills, next to Orange County, LA County. But the transfer tax there is low, $1.10 per thousand. So 725 times 1.1 equals $797.50. If you guys did it, 725 times what? 1.1 equals 797.5. That's what you should have on your calculator. You should all be doing it with me. So I'm going to put it in my sheet. 797.50. All right. Next fee. Prepayment penalty. Seller, do you have a prepayment penalty? No, I don't. 0. Prepayment penalty, 0. Reconveyance, 125. It's already there. What does it do? It reconveys first, second, third, trust. All of the trust deeds. Reconveyance, 125. Look at the script, the seller's net sheet formula. It'll tell you reconveyance, what it does. Next one. Okay. Interest. Ask the seller. So you're in the home and you're doing the listing presentation, and you ask the seller, Mr. Seller, what is the payment on the property? And he says, Jose, my current payment is $4,500. And you ask, does it include the HOAs? And he says, no. Okay. That's another $250. So you have a payment of $4,500 plus HOA of $250. So the total monthly payment for this scenario is $4,750. $4,750. And that would be low. That'd be low, I think, for this person, to be true with it. Here we go. So we're looking at it. He says, my payment, he gave it to us as a $4,550, and with the HOA, it came out to $4,750. So that's a total payment prorated over 30 days. The next one is preparation of docs, $200. Never changes. To prepare the docs. That's what it's for. To prepare the docs. Next one. Mine has it, and you have it there. $75. So leave it there. That's for pests. $75 without work. I get a pest report all the time. But you can make your seller's net sheet with zero, because I know some realtors, they don't want to know or hear or see known facts, and it's legal. You don't have to know them. I can buy it and discover them and then bring them up. Okay? That's technique. But when I represent my sellers, I like to know, then I can tell my buyers it's clear, or it has some pest work, the sellers are taking care of it, or it has pest work and you'll have care of it. Simple as that. And I disclose the known present condition of the property. I know a lot of realtors that like to put in the MLS, being sold in its as is present condition. And Jose will always ask you when I'm buying it, tell me what that as is present condition is. So here we go. Pest 75. FHA, VA, I sit with my clients, zero. I'm taking the listing, zero. But I advise my clients that if we offer this property, FHA or VA, and they did buy it, there may be some fees that are going to be incurred. But right now we're going to say zero. Okay. Now, if I sold it at the 740, and he said he wants 725, and I got 15,000. So I'm thinking like that. If we offer it FHA and you want 5,000 or 10,000, I can put the deal. If you offer conventional, you offer me 740 and you ask for 5,000 closing costs or 10,000 closing costs or any items, we can do the deal. So I have latitude. Okay. Even if you offer me 730 and you ask for closing costs, I got latitude because I want 725. That's my bottom line. So I've got latitude. Okay. Home warranty, zero, but I'm offering it in the MLS. Zero on my seller's net sheet, but I do offer it in the MLS. And I tell my sellers, I'm going to offer in the MLS right now at zero, but if they give us a full price offer or a substantial offer, we will be giving them the home protection plan. Is that okay with you, Mr. Seller? Yes. Why? Because Mr. Martinez likes to offer to all buyers and their agents, all of you, the moon, the stars, and the planets. But that doesn't mean you're going to get the moon, the stars, and the planets. So here we go. Brokerage. You gave a listing presentation, and Mr. John Clemens, boy, he was dynamic when he gave me the presentation. He knocked me out. I'm going to tell you that. That's all I got to say. I'm not going to say nothing more. Just, knock me out. And when he said, Mr. Martinez, I don't work. I said, what's the commission, Mr. Clemens? He said, 6%. Didn't even faze me. Why? Because his presentation, his dynamics. When you got a good doctor, you pay for it. When you got a good lawyer, you pay for it. When you have a good mechanic, you pay for it. And when you have a good realtor in front of you, you will pay for it. Knock me out, Clemens. So he said, Mr. Martinez did 6%. And I said, no problem. And he said, well, let me find out what 6% of 725,000 will be. So we'll put 725,000. Times 6% equals 43,500. 43. Now, I didn't do it at the 740,000, not the list price. I did it at the sales price. Because if I sell it at the sales price, and we don't have to pay anybody anything, I'm a smart man, and so are you, all of them listening to me. My client and your client is getting more money. So I don't have to figure that out. Okay. So that's why I figured out at sales price. Because if I get more money, more money, more money, more money. That's what Mr. Clemens told me. So at sales price, he said, it's going to cost you, Mr. Martinez, $43,500. Now, if you do the job right, the seller's not saying something like this to you. He's not saying to Miss Marshall, Miss Marshall, that's why you're driving around in that Lexus out there. I can see that. Boy, you realtors charge them $43,500. You know, next thing you'll be coming is hovering over in a helicopter. Damn. You guys make a lot of money. You know, they always tell us you need to be able to justify that commission. Justify that commission. A couple of my realtor friends said, Mr. Martinez, you know, we're only leasing the car. Why do you got to be? I'm not buying it. I'm only leasing it. They don't know that. When they see us drive up in that Mercedes, that's why Jose drives up in his 2006 Honda Civic. You know, I let them know I'm hungry and need more work, so I can go get the 220, 221. So okay. So anyhow, 40 in this case it's going to be 43.5, I think. Is that the number? Let's make sure. I think it's 43.5. Pretty sure. 725 times the big 6% Mr. Clemens said he deserves. 43.5. Yep. And I said to Mr. Clemens, I'm gonna give you every penny too. Yep. Like I said, he knocked me out. And I told him, you know, Mr. Clemens, I had 4 agents. I interviewed 4 agents. You're the only one that said, Mr. Martinez, let me show you what it's going to cost. Because I asked the other ones, and they put out a calculator that said 8.5%, 6% commission, and 2.5% escrow and garbage fees. None of them wrote a net sheet, Mr. Clemens. That's why you're getting the job, okay? Can I say to all of you who are listening to me, 80% of the realtors don't even do this. Maybe you didn't even do this. Okay? I bank on that. I bank on that you don't do the things that I do. Those are called techniques. And I say to you once again, would you sell your house without having a seller's net sheet? Tell me. You're realtors. Then how can you sell a house without one? Buyer's fees, zero. Because we're putting it once again, Mr. Seller, if you sell a house and it's sold this way, that way, or any way, it could be 1 to 3%. But right now it's going to be 0. So buyer's fees on this net sheet, 0. Miscellaneous fees. We're selling it for $700, listing for $740, projected sales price $725. Miscellaneous fees already jumps up to what? $1,000. Why? Because my home sold between 501 to $1 million is $1,000. What is that for, Mr. Seller asked you? In case things come up, like we did the home pest inspection, anything comes up, we could take it out of there. When they do the home inspection, if they do a request for a repair, we could take the fees out of that miscellaneous fee there. Okay. I like to have the money there because I really don't want to come back and grovel and beg my sellers for more money. Okay. Now, I'm going to say something to you. What I'm showing to you are doing things before they're necessary. Realtors practice real estate like checker players. Do you know how checker is played? One move at a time. But real estate is like a chess game. You need to think of the moves way ahead of time, not like a checker player. I can tell you that. If you think like a checker player, you're in trouble. Okay. So that is a move. Putting money into this kitty so that I don't have to go back and ask for it later. I tell people this in one of my classes. When I take a listing, I'm always a dual agent automatically. Do you hear what I just said? When I take a listing, I become a dual agent automatically. That's a technique. If I do a listing class, I'll show you how you can do that. Write it right in the contract. I won't be a dual agent. Yeah. Miscellaneous. So in this one, miscellaneous is $1,000. You put it in there. Buyer is living in the property, so there's no non-owner occupancy. 0. Private transfer tax, PTT, private transfer tax. How do you know when you got a private transfer tax? Now I'm going to tell you this to all of you. That's probably going to be the hardest thing to find out, because you're going to have to ask your seller, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, do you have a private transfer tax? I'm going to tell you this right now. Most sellers don't know. Why? I don't know if any of you bought a house here recently or in the last 10 or 15 years, but when you're buying a house and they're signing those documents, you're not even thinking about what they're saying to you. You're not even looking at them. You're just, I'm going to pick the tile. I'm going to do this. I want to do that. You're excited. So here's my thing. If they're a Lennar home, just so you know, Lennar, 1999 and newer, have a private transfer tax. All of them. Lennar. They started it. Okay. So if you go and you know into Lennar, okay. If you're marketing in new homes, if you're going to be marketing new homes, you should ask them what the private transfer tax, or does it exist? I know some agents are marketing new homes. So if you're going to do that, ask the new home developer, do they have a private transfer tax and what that amount will be? Ask the sellers, do they have a private transfer tax? And if they know, the amount. It will not come up in your title report because they don't know. It's private. Private. Okay. Now, you could open up an escrow and it could come up because your escrow officer will find it and then say to both of you, the listing agent and the selling agent, we have a private transfer tax, and they may say something like this, and the seller is obligated to pay for it, or the buyer is obligated to pay for it, or both of you are obligated to pay for it. Now, if it's the seller's obligation and it's minimal, that's not a problem. Or if it's a fee, it might not be a problem. If it's obligated to the buyer, the buyer may have a reason to get out because he's now being disclosed this fee and you didn't know about it. Nobody knew about it. It came up. And I'll give you an example of a $700,000 fee. $700,000 fee. 1% of 700,000. This is not a trick question. $10,000. Okay. So if it's $7,000 and you're looking at $7,000, who's paying that fee? So that's the key to it. Who's going to be paying for it? So I ask my sellers if they don't know if it's a home built after 1999, ask. Not all of them do. If it's a PUD, usually they do. But ask, is there a transfer fee? Be prepared for that. Okay? Ask when you open up or get it, ask your escrow officer if they could check for you before you even open escrow, if there's a private transfer, to see if there is. Sellers sometimes just don't know because they don't tell you. The highest fee I've ever seen, I've never seen a $7,000, is something like $700 for the seller, $700 for the buyer. It usually is a percentage of something. It's usually used for, now they use it for, Lennar uses them for charities, and some organizations uses them for their own HOAs or for improvements of the PUD or the community. They use them for the community. In the beginning, it was private. So in this case, the owner lives there. There's no private fee. It's zero. CTT, city transfer fee. I've never used a city transfer fee yet. So let's put zero. Okay. What city does this person live in? Where he lives in the city, we said Chino Hills. Okay. We know that it's 1.1% there. So now we know all the numbers. So let's add up all of these figures that we have in front of us. And we should have what we call the estimated cost. 1,700 plus 75 plus 125 plus 125 plus the 1953 plus, what's that? I can't tell that's 790, that's 797.50. Can somebody give me a amen or what? Yes, 797.50 plus 125 plus 4750 plus 200 plus 75 plus the big fee, the helicopter, 43,500 plus 1,000 for a total of $54,425.50 for a total of $54,425.50. That's what we all should have together. So track, this gives me my estimated, I can put that up there where it says estimated costs. I put it up on the top, 54,425 and 50. Now I can do some subtraction. The last thing I need to know is if I sell it for 725,000 less costs to market the property, that's escrow and garbage fees, that's $54,425.50. We have 600. There was something I forgot to do. I apologize. So let me go back before we get there. Let me go. I forgot rule number 1, projected gross equity. I didn't give you. So let's keep this number. Hold on. Debt was 404,000. 404,000. I'm selling it for 725. Now 725. My apologies. Minus debt of 405 equals 320. Projected gross equity first. If I sell it for 325, I owe 45. I have 320,000 projected gross equity. I apologize. And then if I sell it in my projected gross equity of 320 and I take out the closing costs or estimated cost of 54 minus the 54,425.50 equals, this seller will have $265,574.00. So that is the number. If I sold it at 725, my debt is 405. Projected gross equity is 320,000. Less my cost of $54,425.50. I would be saying to this seller, Mr. Seller, you can be receiving somewhere around $265,574.50. Now, if we got another 15,000, then you could add that on top of it. If I sold it for more, meaning the full list price. But right now you'd be getting 265,574 and 50 cents. Why is that important? When I'm taking a listing, sometimes one of the questions I ask when I'm taking the listing is I always ask is, where are you going? Like Mr. Antonio Gomez, if I was with him, I'd say, Antonio, when you sell this house, what do you plan on doing? Always ask the question. Antonio probably say something like this, maybe, I'm going to retire. I'm going to head out to Indio, and I'm going to buy a place out there in Indio and retire. Can I help you buy out in India? Antonio, if I could find you something. Why? Because I'm always trying to attach myself to the next transaction. If you don't ask the question, you won't know where they're going. And if you don't know where they're going, you don't know if you can help them. So I'm trying to attach myself to all the transactions I can. Can I help you sell this home? Can I help you buy the next home? Why? Because that may mean how I can help you with my commission too. How I can help you out. Maybe not here, but on the purchase. Maybe I can help Antonio out on the purchase. I'm always thinking about dollars. My calculator is always moving. Okay. So you have to ask the question, what are you going to be doing, Mrs. Wong, when you sell this property? What do you want to do? Now, she might say something like this, Jose, if I can get something like $200,000, I'm going to buy another property. Now you can tell it where you're getting $265,574.50. Can I help you go out and look for that new property? Ask the question. Don't leave it where you're just taking the listing and that's all you got was the listing, because you didn't ask the question. You didn't get the listing and they said, I'm going to buy a couple of properties. That goes with 31s. A 1031 exchange, in case they do it. I'm going to sell that lease property and go out in 1031 and buy now 2 more properties. Can I help you with those purchases? Can I help you go find those properties? I want to attach myself to all of the listings, all of the properties. Okay. Let's pull out one more. Let's pull out one more. This one's going to be in Orange County. Orange County. It's a condominium. Okay. Condominium. So we'll put a condo, Orange County, so you know it's Orange County. So you automatically know that the transfer tax is going to be how much? $2.20. Why? Because it's Orange County. LA, Orange, $2.20. San Bernardino, Riverside, $1.10. So we know that. You go there and you sit down with the family and you looked at the comps and you say to them, seller, I've looked at the comps in the area and I estimate that we could sell your home here in Orange County for $625,000. He goes, great. Let's list it at $625,000. Once again, he asked the question, what is your bottom line? And he said, what do you mean, Mr. Martinez? Say, what is the least amount? What's your bottom dollar here? We could list it at $625,000. I'm confident if we got $625,000, I can provide the comps to the appraiser to get us that value right now. But what is your bottom dollar? Well, Jose, I know my neighbor sold his right now, not too long ago, for 600 and I think it was 15,000. I don't want any less than he had. My bottom line is 615. So projected sales price, 615. So now we know the list price and the projected sales price. And I have a leeway of $10,000, meaning if somebody gives me an offer of 620 and wants 5, we can put this deal together. You give me 625, you ask for 5, we still have room in case things come up. Okay, I have flexibility. If you give me 615 and you ask for 5, you may not have a deal. Okay, you may not have a deal. Okay? I ask, what do you owe? And the seller says, Mr. Martinez, I don't owe anything on this property. I paid it off. You paid it off? Yes, I owe 0. You owe 0. Yeah. Do you owe anybody anything? And he goes, yeah, I do. He goes, I owe spousal support. I go, okay, spousal support. How much? He goes, well, let me think. Let me get my calculator. So he pulled it out. And he goes, I owe $30,000 in spousal support because I owe 3 wives $10,000 each, $30,000. Okay, spousal support, $30,000. Okay. I'm going to pay it off when we get, yes, you will, because they'll take it out. So spousal support. So the first thing we do is find out what the projected gross equity is going to be. 615,000 minus what? 30. So we're going to sell it for 615. Total debt is 30,000 minus his debt of 30,000 equals 585,000. So he has a projected gross equity right now of $585,000. Wow, he's going to wind up with some money. You're asking him, what do you plan on doing when you sell the property? Well, I like to buy a condo and keep a little bit of money in my pocket in case of a rainy day. Where are you going to look for a condo? I'm going to be going to Palm Springs. I can show you some property there. Would you? Yeah. So you're trying once again to be available and attach yourself to the next property. Okay. That's if I can afford it. Oh, I'm confident you'll be able to afford it. Let's see what you'll get. So you went over the listing. And once again, for those of you who are out there, you get such a great listing presentation that he's going to give you. And Beverly was doing a presentation. Beverly Connection was doing a presentation. You knocked me out, Beverly. Beverly said, and this is my first presentation, Mr. Martinez. And I go, damn, Beverly. She goes, but I need 6%, Mr. Martinez. You got it. That way you know you're going to get 6%, all of it. So let's go. Escrow fee. If we're going to have it at 615,000, 615,000 times what? Times 0.2% equals $1,230. That's 615,000 times what? 2%. That equals that $2. 2% came out to 1,230 plus a setup fee of 250 equals 1,480. Total 1,480. 1,480. Are you with me? All right. Okay, so we got escrow. Sub escrow, there, $75. You know what it is? Not an escrow fee. It's a fees charged by title. Recording fee, $125. Drawing deed, $125. They're in the script. Okay. One is for documents, for recording documents, legal documents, as well as lawyer fees. The other fee is to draw up the documents, the docs, and so forth. Okay. Title insurance. Okay, let's go to our title chart. So we're selling this home for 600, and we're saying 15. So let's look for 615 in our title. Uh-oh. I don't see 615. Does anybody else see 615? Anybody see 615? If you do, let me know. No, I don't. We see 610 and we see 620. So when you see something like this, don't go to the lower number. Go up to 620. Don't go lower because you'll be below. Go up to 620. So in this case, we're going to go to 620. What says the amount will be $1,700 and let's take one and $46. $1,746. 1,746. Okay, we went up. Don't go down. Okay, here we go. Transfer fee. This is in what city? Orange County. So we said county. We're selling it for how much? 615,000. And you could say divided by 1,000, which will give you 615 times what? Times 2.2 equals $1,230. $353. $1,050. Once again, I did 615 divided by 1,000 gives me 615 times 2 equal $353. Prepayment penalty. Asked the seller said no, zero. Asked the seller said no, zero. Reconveyance, 125. What is reconveyance? To reconvey the first trustee, the second trustee, the third trustee, whatever trustees you got to reconvey, it reconveys. I would learn all these things like a script so you can speak like a parrot. Like that's what you want to do. Talk to your clients, be able to, they teach you to get in front of a mirror, practice, record it. Interest. We asked the seller, Mr. Seller, what is your payment? And he said to you, zero. I make no payment except for my HOA. I got to pay that one every month. I don't have a home payment, but I do have an HOA. And you go, well, what is it? He goes, $250. So all he has really in interest is $250 because he has no payment. He's paid off the house, but you got to pay the monthly HOA. So he's paying off the HOA of $250 every month. So I put it in there. Wow. And once in a while, I run into a client just like that. Zero payments. Okay. I love that. Okay. Here we go. So we have zero payments, interest, $250 in interest, preps and docs, $200 to what? To prepare the docs. Okay. Appraisal, zero. Okay. Zero. When I take the listing, it's zero. But remember, I told you as a technique, if I knew a buyer was buying and was afraid to buy it because of an appraisal, and I knew the value was there, I would stick my money. I'd tell the seller, let's back up and tell them we'll pay for the appraisal. I, as the agent, will pay for it, Mr. Seller, if it doesn't come in. Okay. You have to have confidence. When they hire me, is because they want to know the truth from me. Okay. So if I'm going to tell you what I believe is the truth, I got to be able to back it up. I tell my clients, I'm willing to back it up. And I tell my clients too, sometimes I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. That happens too. Pest inspection. For this one, once again, $75 without work. When you do your net sheet, you can do it any way you want to. It could either be zero, because I don't want to know, and we don't want to get a pest inspection, because we got to tell the known facts, or you can put it in like I do, $75 without work. Now I'm going to tell you, I have the $75 in there. I use the same pest company. I use the same two over and over and over. They know me. When they go in and it's clear, they don't charge me the $75, okay? They know me, they get business. And when they have to do work, well, that's where they make their money. But my clients don't know that it's going to be for free. So once again, I'm giving them value because I'm able to say to them when it's for free and the pest work is zero to you, Mr. Seller. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Okay. That's why I work with same people over. I know some realtors, you work with this person, that person, this person, that person. She does have its rewards. Okay. FHA, VA, zero. I've told my buyers the fees for FHA, VA, but when I take the listing, it's zero. I tell them when we get an offer, at that time, we'll be disclosing if they ask for costs, and we'll make a new net sheet. When we're taking a net sheet at the listing, it's net sheet number 1, the listing net sheet. Why? Because if I get an offer, that's net sheet number 2. If they don't accept it and I get another offer, net sheet number 3. Every time I write up a net sheet for an offer, It keeps going down the line till I get to the one that's accepted. Let's say I had to write up 5 net sheets. I got 4 offers. We didn't accept them. Then I got a 5th offer and we accepted, and it was for this price and this amount and these costs. Boom. That's the one I give to escrow. But this is the one I start off when I take the listing. Seller gets a net sheet, I get a net sheet, so we can know starting today, taking the listing, this is what we agree upon. When we get an offer, boom, 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 here's the offer, here are the figures, let's sign it, because this is what we agree upon today. You understand what I'm saying to you? So it's not just one net sheet, it's like seller's counter 1, seller's counter 2, seller's counter 3. Net sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just so you know. Okay? Home warranty, 0. But I offer one to everybody. I offer you the moon, the star, and the planet. Because if you give me what I want, you're going to get it. Jose, we gave it $625, and we didn't ask for any closing costs. We're not asking for pests, but we want the home warranty. You're going to get it. I guarantee you. That's when you get the planet. Because you gave me the moon, the star. Wow, I'm happy. Brokerage. Mr. Gomez did such a great job. Beverly did such a great job. All of you guys did such a great job. 6%. So let's do it again at 6%. Okay, 6% of 615,000. 615,000 times 6%, okay, equals, woo, that's why you guys drive in helicopters. I'm telling you, you're flying times 6%. 36,900. I said to Beverly when she said to me, 36, she goes, I know who Beverly is, so I can tell you she's soft. She'll say something. Mr. Martinez said 36,900. I go, what? And she goes, well, she justified it. She goes, I don't keep it all, Mr. Martinez. 3% goes to my company, and 3% goes to the selling agent. So I go, oh, I thought you were keeping Beverly. That's how you drove up in your Lamborghini. So always justify it. Mr. Martinez, I couldn't afford to drive a Lamborghini if I didn't charge 6%. That's why I'm charging. And I am the best, so you need to pay. Thank you. So it's 36,900 at 6%. Buyer's fees, 0. Even though I said to you when I take the listing, Mr. Seller, there could be buyer's fees. It makes no difference what the loan is. You know, I'm always amazed when agents say, what if it's conventional? What if it's FHA? What if it's VA? What if it's Mickey Mouse? The loan name doesn't mean a thing. That's just the name of it. What's really important is, does the property qualify for that name, and will it fit the guidelines of the scenario? FHA, VA, conventional. If the house is falling down, cash. I've sold homes that way. Cash only. Because why? No lender in this planet is going to give a loan. So I advertise it. I advertise, this is a dog, a bow wow wow. Needs roof, windows, carpeting, needs everything. I've sold property, cash only. Please hold your nose while entering the house. Why? Because it stinks. So I'm not afraid to tell you if my house is a cream puff or a bow wow wow. Tell me the truth. I'll tell you the truth. Yeah. Miscellaneous fees. We're asking $615 for this one. So miscellaneous is how much? Yes, I hear it. How much? 1,000? Yes, you're right. Because anything over 501 is a $1,000. So let's put in miscellaneous fees, $1,000. Oh, I think you have there bonus on yours. Bonus. Can you get a bonus? When I'm taking a listing, yeah, you can take a bonus. I can tell you this. My ears are open. If a seller says to me something like this, Mr. Martinez, I need to sell this home and I need to be out now, ASAP. And I don't care how you do it or what you need to do to get me out. Get me out. I may be saying to him, would you be open to giving bonuses if we can get it sold within the first 30 days? Yes. Okay. I'll give you an example. List at 625, and I'll give bonuses if you can get it sold at that 615. I'll give a bonus of $5,000 out to you and to the selling agent. Boom. Believe me, I'm gonna be trying to sell it, and I'm gonna offer the bonuses out. I notice your Lamborghini outside. Well, if you can sell my house and get me to Texas by the 30 days, the Lambo is yours. I'm putting it in the contract. Lambo is mine if sold within 30 days. So I'm just saying to you, nothing is off the table when I take a listing, especially money. When you're taking something like that, I'm going to ask you, can we offer incentives? That's what it is. Can we offer an incentive to the selling agent and to myself if we get it sold? Why do I say myself? As I told you earlier, when I take a listing, I'm always the dual agent. So if I'm going to always be the dual agent, I'm always going to want an incentive. Simple as that. So right now we got miscellaneous. But just in case you want to know what that bonus was about. Not non-owner because they live there, so that's zero. They live there. If they didn't live there, it would be 3.33%. Private transfer tax, you ask the seller, is there a transfer tax? Seller says, no, this is not a private transfer tax. You ask, when was the home built? I look at the title, I can tell the home was built. Okay. This home was built in 87, so I knew there was no transfer tax. No city transfer tax. So we got it, all the numbers. Let's all add them up. Let's add them up. See what we got here. $14,800 plus 75 plus 125 plus 125 plus 1746 plus 13, is that 58? I think 13. I'm gonna call it 1358. Please forgive me. Plus 125 plus 250 plus 200 plus 75 plus your commission of 36,900 plus 1,000 miscellaneous. I think we all should have 43,459. Anybody got something different? Maybe we have something different, let me know. I'll add it again. That's what I have. 1480 plus 125 plus 125 plus 75 plus 1746 plus 13, and I said 58, that's what I called it, plus 125 plus 250 plus 200 plus 30, go back, plus 36,900 plus 1,000 equals, I'm sorry, it was 43,384. So now I'm a little confused. I have to double check my numbers. Does anybody, one of those numbers, speak to me? I can hear you.
I got a different number. I got 43.
Antonio, what did
450.
What did you get?
I got
43 what?
43,454.
43. Let's all do it again together. What? Just tell me, what did you get for transfer tax. That's the number I got wrong.
Yeah, I got a different number for transfer tax.
What did you put there?
1353.
135. Okay, that's the number I got wrong. Once again, 1353. So I can get your number. All right, 1353. Because my scribbling. So here goes my numbers. 1480 plus 75 plus 125 plus 125 plus 1746. Now plus a 1353. Now I'm going to be correct with you. 125 plus 250 plus 200 plus 75 plus 36,900 plus 1,000. I should be right this time. You should have 43,454. Is that the number you have?
Yes, that's what I have.
That you have the right number. I have the right number. I apologize, guys. I was putting that 1358, which was wrong. The correct number is 43,454 when you add up all the right numbers. And that should give you, so if you said 4354, that is the number that is the estimated cost. Now we must do the final number subtracted from the 585. So you go 585,000 minus $43,454 equals $541,546. 541,546 is what this prospective seller should be getting. He sells it at $615. He owes 30, which leaves him 585. Then you take away the 54. I'm sorry, you take away the 43,454, leaves him 541,546. He said he wanted to retire to a condo. He could retire and put a little bit of money away, especially if you asked him, can I help you purchase on the next go around? Does it make sense to you? All right. I think we have enough time for one more. I think we have time for one more. So pull out one more sheet if you have it. Do we have one more sheet available? Or are there any questions before I go on? How do you know if there's PTT? Once again, I'm looking at the question, private transfer tax. I'm not living there. If I'm not living there, there's a private transfer tax. Okay? And that's 3.33%. Pull out your calculator. Just for example, let's pull out a calculator. Private transfer tax. Let's pretend the seller says, I don't live there. You're selling the house at $625,000. $625,000. Everybody get your calculator. Private transfer tax is 3.33% times 3.33% equals $20,812.50. In that example, if I was selling a home at $625,000 and there was a private transfer tax, PTT, that means I'm not living there. A lease, a vacation home, an Airbnb. The key is, if you don't live there, they're going to charge you. If you want to tell me you live there, I'm not going to argue with you. Talk to your CPA or your attorney. Because here's what I tell my clients. When you do your taxes and you tell them you're living in that home you really live in, and then say, because you're trying to avoid taxes, that you're living in this one, red flags are going to come up. The IRS is going to get involved.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
I think I thought the private transfer tax is different than the owner occupy.
Oh, owner occupied. Transfer tax, sorry, the private transfer tax is a tax that, like I said, from 99 on, but not all of them. You have to ask the seller. And sometimes the seller doesn't know. So that's going to be, if the seller knows, he'll tell you, I got a private transfer tax. I pay for it. He might say to you, it's a 1% of sales price, a 1/4% of sales price. Or he may say, I don't know what the amount is, but there is a transfer tax. So if the seller knows, he'll tell you. If the seller doesn't know, then you're probably going to have to, you'll open up escrow and find out. Okay? That's the only way you're going to find out, because it's not on the title. Simple as that. If it's a Lennar home, that's what I told everybody. If it's Lennar, you got it. And I think their transfer tax, private transfer fees are something in the $300 to $400 to $600 range. They pay that amount. They pay it to a charity. So when you buy a house from Lennar, they'll say, we're charging you a private transfer fee, and that amount goes towards this charity. I lived in, the amount came out to about $700. It could be paid by seller or by buyer. And in my case, when I sold it, I paid for it. When I knew it, I could have said private transfer tax to be paid by both seller and buyer, but I'd have to tell them what the amount is. But if you don't know what the amount is when you take a listing, you can't tell anybody. So private transfer tax is a hard number to ascertain, because sellers really sometimes don't know. They don't even know if they have it. So the best thing you can do is ask the sellers and try to get a number, or if they tell you we do have one, to advertise it in the MLS that there is a private transfer tax on this listing, but that you don't know who's responsible for it and what the amount will be until you get into escrow. I would, if I knew there was a transfer tax but didn't know the amount, I would at least advise agents in the MLS that there is a tax. I just don't know who's responsible for it, and we'll find out in escrow. My concern is, once again, I haven't ran into anything like this, but if you run into a transfer tax that let's just say it was $7,000, and a buyer is responsible for it, and you're in escrow, that buyer will have a right to say, I didn't know about the transfer fee until right now, and I am not going to pay for that fee. So I would either want to cancel escrow or find a way where we can resolve the issue. Do you understand what I'm saying to you guys? I can't tell you if there's a private transfer tax on any property, other than saying if it was 98 and lower, probably not going to have a transfer fee, because they didn't put them in until starting in the 99 that I know of. Okay. So I ask my clients if they know, they tell me. If they don't know, I can't advertise it that there is one, because it's not a known fact to me. But if they said to me, like, Mr. Martinez, there is one, but I don't know who's responsible, I will advertise it in the MLF. I'll advertise, I don't know who's responsible for it. If it's my sellers, well, the buyer doesn't need to know there's a transfer fee. My sellers are going to pay for it. So I only advertise it if I know it's a transfer fee, but I don't know who's responsible. If it's responsible, my sellers tell me there is a fee and the seller's responsible, why should I tell the buyers about it? My sellers are going to be responsible for it anyhow. If my sellers don't know, we don't know. Simple as that. Okay. We just don't know about certain things. There's known facts that we don't know about. Okay. You can't advertise something you don't know about. Let's see. What else do we need? What other question thing talking about? Owner occupancy fee. Is he asking about no, owner occupancy is not private transfer. When I say non-owner occupancy, I'm talking specifically non-owner. You don't live there. You're going to pay the 3.33%. But like I said to you, even if you pay the 3.33%, your seller does. I tell my sellers, as long as do you have a tax account? Yes. Are you paying your state and federal? Yes. Go to your accountant. They will be able to retrieve those funds back. I have conversations with my sellers, and they'll say something like this: Mr. Martinez, I haven't done my taxes on that property in a couple of years. What can I say? Okay. You may be in trouble. I'm not what? I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm a realtor. So talk to your accountant. I don't know if that person will be getting his money back. Why? Because if you haven't been filing taxes, then here's the thing. One of the things I tell them, when they take the federal and state, that doesn't mean that that's the end of it. Because here it goes. If you haven't paid your federal and state for a long time, they may be asking that person to pay what they owe in the rears. So it works both ways. Escrow takes out federal and state for what they think you owe now. And you can go and recapture what you owe now if you paid all the time. But if you haven't paid for a couple of years, you might find yourself owing not only 3.33%, but more because you haven't paid taxes in the rears. What is your recommendation on FIRFTA? FIRFTA. What do you mean? Can you talk to me live? What is your recommendation?
Yeah, you know that if you are not, if you're a foreigner, you have a different taxes. If the seller,
Oh, yes.
do we list those things on a seller net
Mary,
sheet?
I'm glad you brought that up, Mary. Mary's brought up something that really affects, I deal with a lot of my clients in the Asian Pacific Rim. And a lot of my clients come from the Asia Pacific Rim and from Mexico and from different countries. So let's just say our buyers come from international buyers. Here goes. People have been selling property for a long, long time to international buyers. When that buyer buys a property here in the United States, there are different categories for that buyer. Okay. Now, once again, I'm not an attorney, nor a CPA, nor a legal international lawyer. But a lot of people sell properties to clients, and I sold one to my good friend John Liu, who is from China. And I had to tell him, John, when you sell this property, there may be ramifications because you don't live in the country and you're not only a non-owner occupied, but you're an international buyer. And he lives here in the United States, but he lives also in his own mother country. He comes back and forth. So for those buyers, Mary, there's a fee, and that fee could be quite substantial. It could be anywhere from 10% and more. So that fee is really depending on the prospective buyer. And that's something you brought up. That's an international buyer. That's not even on my net sheet, because the net sheet we're usually dealing with is what I call our regular buyers, the buyers that buy here and are citizens of this country. So Mary brought up the fact of an international buyer, and I surely couldn't tell you what that amount will be because when I do something like that, I start off at 10%, okay? At 10%. So if you look at 10%, not 3.33% of selling a home of, let's say it's 600,000 and we were, I don't remember the number, it would be 3 or 4 times that amount already. Now, I do know of attorneys that deal in that international law. So when I have a client that tells me, Jose, I have a property, I'm not from this country, I have been paying my taxes, because that's, once again, a key word again. I am paying my taxes in the United States and paying my taxes in my country. Then I tell them, talk to this attorney and talk to their CPA. But Mary, that's a very good question, because the amount is not like any amounts that we're talking about now. And I start basically on, when we deal with an international buyer, I start at 10%. And then that is not I'm going to wind up being at, because we'll talk to their CPA or we'll talk to an attorney, and I'll get a better bearing of where we're going to be. But Mary's talking about our international buyers, and I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people have sold property to international buyers over the years without telling them that they have taxes or fees that they're going to have to pay when they sell this property. I don't know if you're one of those agents, but when those buyers sell that property and they find out what they got to pay, they're not going to be happy with some of the agents they've worked with, because the agents have not done their due diligence and told them what they should know. So Mary, that's a great observation from your side. Maybe you've come to my classes before, because when I do my live classes there in Diamond Bar, I bring that up quite often. Our international buyers, they'll pay a fee that's not on here. And I start that fee at 10%. I start that fee at 10%, and it can go on. Any other questions in reference to that? Okay. I'm open to a question if you have it. To be true with you, because I think we're almost at the end of our time, and we've got 15 minutes. I hope you get something out of this net sheet. I would suggest that you make a copy of it, that you practice on your own. San Bernardino, Riverside, a non-owner, Long Beach, different scenarios over and over and over, that you create your own seller's net sheet and practice over and over and over and over, okay? Because that's important. That's important, that you're ready to do the net sheet, because when I do my net sheets in front of my clients, or even like right now remotely, because we can't meet our clients, they don't have an hour for us to do it. So you have to be able to do this net sheet in what, 5 minutes? I give you 5 minutes. When I used to go to a property and you're at a house and you're doing a listing presentation, people are eating, there's children, there's television on. They really don't have time for you to be there an hour to come up with a net sheet. So I would suggest all of you practice your net sheet, nail it down so that you can get it down in 5 minutes or less, so that you can present it. Or in the way we live now, get numbers ahead of time, scenarios. I'm going to sell it at 625 bottom line, so you can email it to me and I can review it, and then you can go over the numbers with me. In the world that we live in now, you can send these things to me. We can review numbers. We can discuss the listing, comps, and all this before I even get there. Okay. I do still review properties because I have to. I don't just take a listing without seeing it. Why? Because you may tell me you have a beautiful property and I show up and it has no hardscape, no landscape, none of the things that warrant top dollar, or you may have a property that warrants even more than top dollar. So when we live in a new environment, but the environment requires us to do certain standard things. They haven't changed, okay? For listings and so forth. The protocols have changed, okay? For taking a listing. In some cases, when I take a listing now, I do not have a supra on my property. We're not allowed to do open houses. We can do inspections, okay? What do I mean? When I take a listing, I will say inspection date, July 27th from 12 to 4 p.m. Please make an appointment. So that way we're getting that together. I hope you got something out of it. I plan to get again down the line to do this class again. I believe that a listing is a part of a broker file, part of your legal file. It really makes no difference if your broker doesn't have it in their file. If you told me it's not a part of our broker, I'll argue with it. But I will say this to you, that if we went to court, Mr. Martinez, I will testify and say that I give all of my clients a seller's net sheet, that you, all of you listening to me right now, wouldn't sell your houses without one, that none of you would buy a house without one, that none of you walk away from McDonald's without getting a receipt. And I know the judge will look at you and ask you two questions. Do you have a seller's net sheet or not? And you will open up your mouth to say, yes, I do. And I'm glad to explain it to you because I've been to Mr. Martinez's class and I can go through it. Or you're going to say no. And when you say no, he's going to ask the next question. Why not? And you'll open your mouth again to tell him why not. I'm telling you, I know. I know what they do. So I believe, even regardless of what my brokers or my managers or corporate tells me, a seller's net sheet is a part of my file to protect me, to protect my company, to protect my clients, and to show due diligence. I leave it at that. I look forward to seeing you down the line. I wish all of you peace and love. Peace and love to all of you. Thank you, Laura.
Bye,
I leave
Jose.
it at that. All right. Thanks, all of you. Some of you, I know you. Keep going. Keep working. Okay. Be safe. Wear your mask. We're obligated. Or you'll be doing all your shopping at a liquor store. You know
Bye.
the truth. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jose.